Thank you.
On the call.
Say again.
There are 11 callers on the call.
You guys have us outnumbered. There's only 10 of us here tonight. The class starts at 7:15, and the meditation from 7:15 to 7:30 is as important as any other part of the class. And I know that the conference call thing says please announce yourself when you connect, but if you connect after 7:15, please don't announce yourself because we're meditating. And if you do the *6 to mute your phones, it goes beep beep here, and we're meditating. So it would be very good if you would get connected and muted before 7:15. And I know y'all can do it because the meditation used to be from 7 to 7:15, and everybody got here 10 minutes late and phoned in 10 minutes late, and now the thing's starting 15 minutes later, and it continues. So please make the effort to be here for the meditation.
Lee, we can't hear you very well. Like last week was perfect, but this week we can't hear you too well.
Okay, keep prodding me so that I do speak up. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, better.
Okay.
Are you further away than you were last time?
Nope. Same distance.
You sound really far away, Lee.
Well, I'm here. How are you guys doing on being here? I could dial back in. You want me to try that?
There, now it's better, whatever you just did.
Well, I just sat up and stood right over the mic, but that's not what I was doing.
That'll work.
Yeah, I suppose. So the first thing I want to know is how did we do with here? Were you all able to have the different experience of being here in your car, watching the picture change as distinct from being driving down the freeway, passing through space?
Yes, for me, the freeway metaphor was a very powerful one.
Oh, good. Thanks, Jim. We're having trouble hearing you, too. How about anybody else? There's a very distinct state of consciousness between the two, and it's very easy for me to do that in the freeway because it's just so obvious whether I'm having the experience of zooming down the freeway or having the experience of sitting here in my car. Did you all feel the difference in the experience? Did you feel the difference between being here and being in traveling through space?
Yes.
Anybody else? I guess I'm wasting my time. Did anybody have any difficulty? Was anybody unable to have that experience?
I found the exercise challenging in the sense that I accepted a piece. The piece that worked for me was where I was in the car and all of the external world was coming, being presented in my pictures. That worked, but I didn't quite get the concept of the A to B and that piece. But that other piece did work when I applied that.
Yeah, that's the one that Robert gave me, and it's a very, very different feeling to me to be sitting here in my car or being buzzing down the freeway. Good, I'm glad you were able to differentiate that. Learning to be here and now is, it's the same thing as learning to be spiritual adult or learning to be aware of the presence of God. The idea of being here, it was the first obstacle. Space was the first obstacle, and being here sounds like an easy thing and a throwaway, but it is, and it's actually easy to have that experience, or at least possible, and practice will yield it, but it's very important to get that clear sense of when I'm here and now. There's a very different feeling in my consciousness if I'm here now, omnipresent, as distinct from when I'm wandering through space and time, being pressured and stressed and all that kind of stuff, which of course never happens, but could if I'm in time. So I hope everybody will have that experience or has had that experience and will work at that. I got a sense this week that this class is not going to be as straightforward as I thought it would be. I thought we'd be able to just talk about an obstacle for the first half of the class, but obviously we can only do that for about 3 minutes. And then we would spend the second half of the class working on a new one, but then I was led to put an equal focus on the healing work and the practitioners group. And so I did that, and then this week I've had several phone conversations with people, and everybody is talking about the work that we're doing, and not just obstacle work and not just healing work, but the work. And by the work, I guess I mean the script work and the kid work and relationship work and I don't know whatever other work we're doing, meditation work or any number of these things dealing with problems. I'm indicating quotes with my fingers here that people can't see it, but dealing with problems and dealing with this world, dealing with stuff out there. So I think another thing that this class will be about is a forum in which to talk about the work and how it's going for us and what our difficulties are. If we're having meltdowns with script and kid, we need to be doing that work. If we're having relationship difficulties, we need to be even going back to the relationship work. We need to be doing awareness exercise work. I was talking with one person, and what I heard myself saying to him, and this has been borne out, one person I talked to had tears come up, and she very wisely excused herself from the situation and went and cried the tears. Other situations had stuff coming up, and what I found myself saying to at least one person was essentially that, listening to Robert or Joel or Herb or Barbara is certainly part of the work and a positive thing to do, but that won't do the work. That's not doing the work. That's a nice thing to get lifted in consciousness, but when we do that, we're being lifted in consciousness. We're not necessarily lifting ourselves in consciousness. We're not doing the work, and because of that, we slide back down. So that's a good thing, and we need to do that in order to expand our understanding of truth, our knowledge of truth, and also in order to be lifted, because just hanging out in Herb's consciousness, Joel's and Herb's consciousness for the past 2 years has accumulatively made a significant effect on many of us. The other thing is that writing to your kid every morning is not going to finish the script and kid work. It's a good step, it's an important thing, it allows you to arrive at a state of getting along with your kid, but it doesn't finish the work. It's another case where we need to do more work. saying getting spiritual adult in gear is what's important. First of all, you can't write to your kid unless you have spiritual adult in gear. Lots of people, I'm becoming more and more aware, have one kid writing to another kid, one kid who's acting like an adult writing to another kid, and there's no adult present. And if there's no adult present, nothing is being done, nothing's being accomplished. Yeah. I started on this last year, and I'm going to say it again. Whoever's got that noise going on needs to mute their phone. Would everybody mute their phone that's on the conference call, please? Somebody. Thank you. Somebody's making a lot of noise. The game that we have to master, the thing we have to master is the awareness exercise. And we can practice the awareness exercise until we're able to get into spiritual adult at will. And what occurred to me the past couple of days is in step 1 of the script book, the very first step of the work, we say that step 1 is not mastered until you never miss the glitch. And what I'm hearing is that nobody has mastered step 1 of the script work, and we're all off writing to our kids and such like, but we haven't yet mastered step 1 of our script work, because if we mastered step 1 of our script work, we'd catch the glitch. And if we'd also done the awareness exercise, we would immediately go into spiritual adult. And if we were in spiritual adult, the script event wouldn't happen, and we'd be in a position to reassure the kids. So there's a lot of that kind of work that needs to go on in conjunction with this. On the other hand, if we are able to get into the spiritual adult at will through the awareness exercise, then still we will not be able to stay there until we finish the script and kid work. So it's all a package, and it all has to be done. And we've maybe been kicking back a bit too easily listening to Joel and Herb for 2 years, and maybe we need to get back to focus on getting spiritual adult in gear and doing that kind of thing. That would have helped a lot of people with the things that were going on over the telephone this week. So I said mastering step 1 is necessary, never missing the glitch and using it to trigger getting into spiritual adult. And then I said to one poor person, and it's true, and lots of people have been having stuff coming up, the person who had the tears come up and such like. Every tear that we have repressed and locked up inside of us is going to have to be cried. And every bit of anger or rage that we have repressed for whatever reason, because it was unacceptable or we were afraid to express it or inappropriate or whatever, every bit of that rage and anger that we have repressed is going to have to be expressed. It's going to have to come out. And every fear that we have is going to have to be corrected with the spiritual truth. And often the fear is contained in the kid, and so that's going to be the work that we do in our morning writing to our kid, is correcting these fears. And every other false belief that we have is going to have to be corrected with the correct spiritual truth. And every bit of conditioning that we have experienced over the past eons is going to have to be deprogrammed in order for us to get free, in order to get us clear, in order for us to get to attain transcendental consciousness. I mean, the work is that hard, and all of that has to happen. And every bit of that, of course, requires being in spiritual adult. But if you're a spiritual adult, all of that can be done. But if you're not in spiritual adult, it ain't going to happen. So, enough about that. Anybody out there want to share? Or in here? I know there is no out there, but Any of you people who sound like you're out there, do any of you want to share? Bring up problems or bring up work or bring up anything at all? I would like to turn this into a workshop sharing format or forum where we all can share our experience to help other people and share our questions and gain experience and make some progress. I'd like to make this a fruitful hour rather than some little thing that'll die out of lack of energy in 3 or 4 weeks.
I will lead. This is Rolly Cobb.
Hi, Rolly. Thank you.
You know, this last class, I want to just comment on what you talked about. The last was the first part. You talked a lot about the healing part, which was I could really relate to and relax into your words and really hear what you're saying, and it felt really comfortable. I knew what you were saying. I understood every word you were saying. And then when it went into that move into the here and there, it became very abstract in this place where I really have not been. I had trouble understanding the concept, the words, and it was a glitch for me. It really was. I did catch it, but it took me some time to realize, well, my feeling was, why should I go there? What is the purpose of this? And every time I'm driving down the road trying to do what you suggested to do, my thoughts went, what am I doing? What am I doing? What am I doing? Which, of course, prevented me from experiencing anything except my head. So it took me a few days of being really distracted by stoplights and by traffic and by the lack of time where I could relax into driving and really focusing on what you said. But it was always that. It was always folk. So anyways, long story short, it was a completely new thing for me. And it was difficult for me to experience anything beyond trying to stop my thought process in this exercise. So that's what I have to say about that.
Cool, thank you. It is very hard for people that have not tried this before. Whoever's trying to do that, if you're trying to turn up the volume, this conference call doesn't have volume turn up on it. The only thing it has is *6 to mute your phone or unmute it. It's the other line that we used to have that we could never connect to that had the volume increase.
Hi, Lee, this is Dulcie.
Hang on one sec, Dulcie. Let me finish with Rolly. I was trying to
I didn't hear it. Okay.
I was trying to get back into what he was saying. Yeah, my point is that these obstacles that we are going to be talking about and have started talking about are not seen by the 6 billion as obstacles. We're so conditioned into traveling through space and traveling through time between birth and death that we don't think there's an alternative. And so it will be hard work for the people that are hearing this for the first time, and I'm aware of that. And that in particular is why we chose that one for last week, because that experience driving down a freeway, and it's much easier to do on a freeway, where you are driving for a long stretch of time. You can, while driving for a while, switch between the consciousness of going down the freeway and the consciousness of being here in the car. And that's a place to practice, to develop that, to see that there is a distinct difference in the experience. The small experience that you have initially will start to expand until you suddenly have a very large hemisphere, including horizon, including experience of here. So that's why we started there, but it's going to be difficult, and they're not going to be pleasing intellectually because they make no sense to the intellect. And tonight we're going to do now versus time, like we did here versus space last week, and it's not easier. I will give you lots of reasons why you should do it, because I've got some things to read to you that will encourage you, perhaps explain to you why we need to do this work. Which of course we don't unless we're trying to get out of the dream. Now please, Dulcie, jump in.
I was backing up to what you were talking about in the beginning of the still needing to do the first step of the kid work and the or script work rather. And one of the things that I feel that Joel separates from everything else is his introduction to all of us on impersonalization. And a lot of times, and I too, years ago when I was doing so much scripting kid work, would lose sight of the fact that it's all impersonal. And his main principle was impersonalization, that the script is being beamed at us, all of the work, even though it feels like I am personally sitting down and it is applying to just me, it's really impersonal. And the more I could step out of personalizing my own script and my own kid work as though they were, quote, real, the closer I could get to spiritual adult in gear. And the more I tried to personalize it or get emotionally involved in my own script and conditioning, the more difficult it would become. So I feel that his principle is the freedom principle to get me to step aside and view it from a distance and not get so all emotionally involved in it. And that was a big help to me to keep impersonalizing. And it's odd that this is coming up because this weekend I'll be giving a class in Ohio, and the theme that was given to me was impersonalization. So I don't know what will be coming out, but I do know that there's 4 Infinite Way retreats happening this weekend. So it'll be a very lifting time to join in all weekend and get, there's an intense consciousness going on. Thank you.
Yeah, cool. Thank you. The spiritual adult, by the way, is absolutely impersonal. Are you all aware of that? That spiritual adult is impersonal? When I'm in spiritual adult, I'm not in my spiritual adult, I'm in spiritual adult. It's the same word as Christ, it's the same word as Buddha, it's the same word as Spirit. So that's the reach for impersonalization, and of course the kid is totally personal. That's the personal part of us. Who else would like to share? Are you with us, Adele?
Well, I'm here, Lee. I'd like to chime in. It's Jay.
Oh, hi, Jay.
I'm retreating in Hawaii this weekend.
Cool.
But what I wanted to talk about was that. So I have this appearance in my life of illness, of somebody that I care about deeply, and I keep. How is it that I can? Because I understand that part of that's my out-picturing. That I know that she's perfect. And that her spirit's perfect, but we keep getting, I get overwhelmed by the appearances that are so remarkably different from what I'm used to experiencing.
That's the hard work, but it's all driving back to, you're seeing what you're seeing. You're not seeing anything that's out there. Robert used to say that, he answered so many questions with "that's what you see." And that's all. That's always the answer. That's what you see. You're seeing that. You don't know whether there is anybody else who's experiencing it. I wanted to read some of this from anyway because it relates to both here and versus there and now versus time. This is from the Avila Beach seminar that Herb gave that I played the tape from 2 weeks ago, that we heard all of this, and it's in the notes that are on the website. But let me read to you a few of those lines that came from that. Just this will give you a sense of why we do this work, why here and now is important, and also that particular tape is about here and now from the viewpoint of healing. He said, and I'm just going to read a few of these are the notes I took that I put on the website, and you can see I've colored about half of it pink to read tonight. His first statement was, everywhere is here. Simultaneity is the law of the divine invisible. That which appears in time, which requires healing, is a sequence. Good, then ill, then better or worse. Sequence is in time, and God's Spirit does not function in time, so spiritual healing must apply the rule that all healing is done outside of time. So there's one of the reasons, especially for the people that are in the practitioner group, why we need to work on getting out of time. Because there's no God in time. And that's what I said last week. There's no God in here. I mean, God is only here. God is nowhere else except here. God is omnipresently here. So we have to be here now to experience the presence of God. And that's the same thing as we've said always before, that there's no God in the human world except where experienced. And another way of saying that is there's no God in the human experience except where someone is here now. When someone is in the here and now, that one is in the presence of God and experiencing God. And if you're not in the here and now, you're not experiencing God, and you're out in the rat race with the 6 billion. He said, outside time there are no problems. Dwell there, abide outside time, and permit the light of Spirit to do all the work. Let Christ do the healing. Everything that happens that you have to heal is happening in time that is not passing. What he's saying is that it's not here. It's not happening. It's happening in your mind. Your mind. Not her mind. Not anybody else's mind. Your mind. In the 5 senses you have your problem. That's where the problems are. You believe the patient is coming to you and the patient is out there, just like you believe the sun is out there, or the world is out there, and activities are out there. There's nothing spiritual about that viewpoint at all. Nothing is out there. It's only out there to that you in passing time. That you in passing time means that one that you're falsely identified with. See, if I'm identified with Lee, I'm that you in passing time, and I'm experiencing all these problems and things that need healing and such like. But if I'm who I am, then I'm not that you in passing time. I'm just one who is here now eternally. And then I don't see those things. Time itself is in your mind, and everything in time is in your mind too. And when you locate the condition in your mind, the work is never outside. Your work is in your own level of consciousness. Your condition is in your mind, that's why you're aware of it, because it's in your mind. That's the place you do your healing. He really went on quite a bit about this. Then he says, when thought stops, in that instant you're in the now, when you think not. No thought takes you out of time, and your capacity to develop that state, that neutral state of no thought, takes you into now. You'll feel something quite different. The wholeness is now, God is now, the perfection of God is now. God is now, and if you're not in now, you're not in God. And having found now, you find God automatically. And having found now, you are under divine law. Okay? So, that whole healing tape, and by the way, I'm going to put that tape back up on the website. I'm going to put that one on the obstacle course website so that people can listen to that, because that whole tape is about here and now. The whole seminar, the Avila Beach seminar, is about time. well worth listening to. And I'll put that up on the obstacle course page, and I'm going to put that the tape that the 2 healing meditations came from, the San Diego 5A and B, up on the practitioners group page so that you can listen to that some more too. So, in any event, the work is always, when I see something that